Well, hello everyone. This is the Getting Started recording for C++ programming. First of all, I'd like to say I'm glad that you're in this class, and I know that some of you probably don't have a lot of programming experience, if any, but the thing I like about C++ compared to Java and other programming languages is that it is much more user-friendly. Additionally, the course, the way it is set up, is much better for students to use. So I think you're going to enjoy the course, and I'll work with you as we go through the course. If certain parts are really challenging, then I will provide all the assistance and guidance that you'll need to do really well in the course. So essentially you need to put in your time and effort and you'll get a good grade out of the course. Well, what this recording is about is how to get started. And I like doing these getting started recordings and providing you opportunities to earn points for the class based on what you do in the what you do as you watch the recording and answer questions. So what I'm going to do is lead you through the different components to the class, all the stuff on the left side, and then we'll go through and talk about the answers to the questions that you have for the Getting Started write-up, as it's called. Now, in all of my classes, I have what are called write-ups that are worth about 20 or 30 points depending on the class, and I have a write-up for each week or for each unit. I haven't decided how I'm going to set it up for this class, but what the write-ups are is there are questions that I give you based on the recording that I did for that week. So all you have to do is watch the recording, find the answers, and I show you and I tell you the exact answers, and then you just type in the answers and you submit that write-up to the Dropbox. And it's an easy 20 or 30 points, plus it gives you an introduction into the content and the work for the week. So I hope you'll see the value in the write-ups. And again, this is the first one. This is called the Getting Started write-up. So let's go ahead and jump into the class, and so I can share with you how the class works. Well, first of all, when you log in, you would be in the announcements. And you can see that when you're in the announcements, I always list my week's work right here. So week 1 work, I can click on that. And you can see that for week 1, I suggest that for Tuesday, you do all of this work. And what I mean by for Tuesday, I mean you could do it on Monday and finish it Tuesday, or you could do it on Tuesday. It's just a way for me to help you set up a schedule of work to do. If I just put all of this stuff in one big announcement, it may look really daunting and really confusing to you. So this way you can break it out. And then for Thursday, here's what you could do. So you could start it on Wednesday, finish on Thursday, start on Thursday, finish on Friday, or just do it all on Thursday. I mean, do that. Just sit at your computer. This would take you about an hour to go through all this. You could finish that. So however you want to do it is fine, but I like to break it out so that you can put it into schedules if you create a schedule for yourself. You can also see the dates. I have January 7th through 13th, so this is Monday through the next Sunday. But ideally, you'd get the work done by Friday. The welcome to class, the little announcement there, tells you to go to the week 1 announcement to get started. Overview of Class Connects. I use Class Connects, the live Class Connects, a little bit differently than other teachers do. My live Class Connects are more like office hours where you can come in, get questions answered, check in with me, etc. Because I provide a recording for the lesson, and you go through the recording on your own as you do the write-up. Now most teachers, they go through the whole lesson in the live session. Well, I prefer to do what's flipping the class, so I kind of flip it over. I expect you to go through the lesson on your own and then ask questions of me in the live session. So you see that for this class, our live sessions will be Mondays from 12:30 to 1:30, and I expect everyone to check in. And all you have to do is check in at 12:35 and say, hey, Mr. Harrison, I'm doing fine. I'm going to go do some work. If you have no questions for me, you can do that. And what I really like is I have lots of students, they'll check in, they have no questions, but they keep logged into the live session. Then they go do work, and then they can ask me questions as they're doing work. That would be the best solution. So it's a time to check in. Other students might check in and have questions for me. So there are many ways you can do that. Now, the other thing in these live sessions, not every time, but often, I will provide, and when you attend the live session and you stay the whole time, I'll give you a 10% bonus on any of that week's work that you turn in that day. So there's a nice bonus, another reason to come to the live sessions. Even if you don't have any questions, just hang around in the live session and go do your work. Now let's see, the Class Connect write-ups, these are all parts of the live sessions. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but the Class Connect write-ups, again, they're weekly or they go per unit, and they're 20 or 30 points, easy way to get points in the class. Okay, navigating the class, let's go ahead and look at the syllabus and learn a bit about it. Well, C++ programming uses the C++ programming language through Microsoft called Visual C++. You can see that right here. But before we jump into that, you can see a little bit of information from me. I've been teaching online since 2001. I have a master's degree in online teaching and learning, and I also have my principal's license. I finished that all online last year. So you can see I've been involved in Colorado education for a long time. I also coach, and I coached basketball and track when I taught in Nevada and taught in Colorado a number of years ago. Now I live in Grand Junction with my son and my wife. My son goes to Grand Junction High School. As you look at this course, you'll see that some of the activities, again, you'll be using Visual Basic, C++ 8, Express Edition, and these are the projects for the different units. There's Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, Unit 5, etc. So essentially each unit is a week, isn't it? The Hello World project, that's a pretty easy one. Then there's an interesting calculator project that you do, a guessing game, etc. And the way that the courses seem to work, and this is the first time I've taught C++ in this setup. I've had it before in other online programs. But the way they set this up, it looks like to me, is that you have a practice activity that you follow the lesson, and it shows you exactly how to do it, and you do it on your own. And then you add to that program using some coding, and it shows you the coding to use and all of that. So we'll see how this all works as we go through the course. The grading scale. The course is set up on 1,000 points, so it's easy for you to figure out your percentage. So for instance, if you had 647 points, that means you have 64.7%. So it's real easy to do the math. So you can see down here the examples of how you can do the math to figure out your points. Finally, down below talks about the Class Connect write-ups again, and we'll look at those a little bit more as we move along just to see where those come in. Okay, getting started. So getting started, this kind of tells you what to do. Read the syllabus, watch the Getting Started recording. Of course, you're watching that now. Submit the Getting Started write-up. Go through the course overview in the course home area. Whoops, I need to fix the word home there. Let me fix that while we're here so I don't forget it. Course home area. Save. Okay, so also this week we'll go through the course overview and the course home area, and that's right here. It says course overview. We'll look at that in a minute. Then you do the introduce yourself discussion entry and the My Learning Plan assignment. My Learning Plan assignment was 50 points. So this week, my Learning Plan assignment is 50. Getting Started write-up is 20 or 30, I don't remember which. So that's an easy 70 or 80 points you can get for this week for about 15 minutes of work probably. Well, maybe half an hour of work because you have to watch the recording to do the Getting Started write-up. But that's pretty easy. In the Getting Started recording, I'll have that posted there. The course outline. This just shows how the course is set up. And you can see this was designed by whoever created the course, not by me. You can see that they expect you in the course overview unit, they expect that it might take you 4 hours. And these are the different parts of the course overview unit. And that link is right here, course overview. Then they think that the calculator unit, the project 2 to do the calculator, might take you 11 hours to do that. Now I went in Actually, let's go back to the Hello World. The Hello World unit, they say 10 hours. I went and did the Hello World work in about an hour. So it's really not that daunting. I think the times that they have here probably are double what most of you will take as you do the work. So that's the course outline. The Getting Started Write-Up, we'll get back to this a little bit later, but you can see on the write-up, all you do is just answer these questions as you watch this recording. You turn them in a certain way. You turn them in as text in the Dropbox. Do not attach a file. And that's going to be an easy 20 or 30 points. Hey, the welcome link on the left side. The welcome link just is an introduction into C++ into the course, so you can see the work that you'll do, what C++ is, and here's how you pronounce it, C++. What coding is, computer coding, and it's commands and instructions that we write, and it tells the computer what to do. And the great thing about using Visual C++ that you'll download and install is that it has auto formatting, means that the codes change colors as you type them, and it also tells you whether the code is correct or not. So it's real easy to do the programming in C++ Visual. And finally, what a programmer is and what a user is. So just a little bit basics about programming, right? Okay, we're going to move on down. Let's go down to what's called Immediate Help Link. An Immediate Help Link, I'm not sure if you realize it, but within the Class Connects, in order for a teacher to meet you in a private session, in a one-on-one session in Class Connects, we either have to set them up on the half hour, like 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, etc., or on the hour, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, etc. Well, if you send me an email at 5 after 2 and say, hey, I need some help, well, I'd have to put you off until 2:15 or 2:30 when I could set the session up, and that might not work with your schedule. So what I've done is I've created what I call an Immediate Class Connect. An Immediate Class Connect, all you do is you click right here, type your name, your first name and last name, enter the session, and then we'll be together in a one-on-one session in Class Connect. And the way I've done that is I've created a live session that's on 24 hours a day until June. Now the thing about this, I'm not always sitting in there waiting. Like if we were in a regular school, I wouldn't be sitting in my office, in my classroom 24 hours a day, would I? I would just meet with you at certain times that we set up ahead of time. So the way this will work, let's say you send me a K-mail and say, hey, Mr. Harrison, I'm having trouble. Can we meet at, I need to talk to you in a one-on-one session. I'll shoot back and say, hey, I'm ready right now, going into the immediate help, and I'll be waiting for you. You click right over here on the left, immediate help. That brings up this screen that we just saw. Click right there, and that screen comes up, and we can go in there and be in there together, and I can give you one-on-one assistance. So again, this is set up ahead of time, so we need to previously set up. I just don't sit in there waiting for students to show up. So that's immediate help. Now, really important thing for me and for most teachers is the communications. And in communications, the reason it's extremely important is that we're not face-to-face, so we can't always resolve problems real easily, or as easy as we could face-to-face when we're online. So we have to be clear in what we want to communicate. So let's think about this a little bit. The first thing that really is extremely important in my classes is I use announcements a lot. I use announcements to list the work for the week. I also use announcements to have any class-wide issues. Like if one of the assignments has changed, or I've changed an assignment because students are having issues with it or something like that, then I'll put it in the announcement. I'll also email it to you, but I use the announcement area as a way for you to come find things that are pertinent to the class. So always go to the announcements if you have a question about anything, and because you might find the answer without having to contact me, although I don't mind you contacting me. Next, K-mail. K-mail is the best way to get in touch with me, as I check it quite often. Also, it gives me time to process it before I write you back, rather than if you phoned me. Hey, Mr. Harrison, you get on the phone, you call me, Mr. Harrison, I need help with assignment 3. Well, I might not be at my computer, I might be helping another student, all kinds of things might be up. So Kmail is the best way to do it. But in Kmail, I'm not sure if you know, but when you send Kmail to a teacher, we have no idea what class you're in right off the bat, unless we've memorized who you are and what class you're in. And I usually don't do that when I have 200 students or 150. So whenever you send a Kmail, always in the subject line of the Kmail, put the name of your class and the topic of your email. So here's an example right here. C++, need help with assignment 3. If that's the subject line in your Kmail, then I know that you're in C++, and I know that you need help with assignment 3. So that could help me out. And then in your message in the Kmail, then you'd probably type something. Hey, in assignment 3, it says blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure how to do that. Well, now I can have in my mind what help you need, and I can easily reply back to you. But if you just send it a Kmail without the course in it and just say, I need help, and send it, I have no idea what course you're in, what you need help with, and I'll just reply back to those emails and say, I need you to send the email properly before I address your concerns. I'm not being a hard guy about this, but what I'm trying to do is to get you to communicate properly, because it's going to help you in classes and it's going to help you in life. Last thing about Kmails. If it's a new topic, so right here, if the topic is new, please write a new Kmail. Don't use an old subject line and send a Kmail. For instance, if I send you a welcome email today, then 3 weeks from now you need help with assignment 3, and you just reply to that welcome email without changing the subject line or anything, I'm going to return it back to you and say, I need the Kmail sent properly, please. That's proper communications. So either write a new Kmail or revise the subject line of an old Kmail. Finally, in the Kmail, be specific. So I could answer your question right off the bat, possibly without having to go back and ask you, well, what do you mean on this? So, here's an example. A student, maybe they're having issues on a grade. Well, a student could send me an Kmail that says C++, I have a problem with one of my grades. Then in the Kmail, they could say, Mr. Harrison, my grade book is messed up. Can you fix it? And then they send. Well, that doesn't help me at all, does it? But if they sent me the Kmail that said in the subject line, C++, need help with my grade on assignment 3. Then in the body of the Kmail, they say, on assignment 3, it looks like I did all the work, but your feedback says this. Can you confirm what my grade is? Well, that really helps me. Then I could go look at it and get back to you with a solution right then. So be specific, please. Phone calls. I have no problem with phone calls. There's my cell phone. I list it here and in a few other places. But I'm often not available. I might be helping other students or doing a live session, things like that. So best, if you need to talk to me on the phone, don't call me out of the blue, but send me a Kmail, say I need help with this. Can we talk on the phone at 2:30 today? I'll reply back to you. Well, I can't do 2:30. How about 2:45? And they'll be ready to talk on the phone at 2:45. Class Connect sessions, we talked about that. The ongoing Class Connect I have right here called Immediate Help. I talked about that. And the live sessions for this class, Mondays 12:30 to 1:30. I've talked about those things. If you want to connect with me on Skype, there I am. I usually don't have Skype open though. Also on Live Messenger, I will try to have that open whenever I'm online. So you can add me to that. And that's the communications. Grading information. Grading information. I already went over the grading skill, but look at the work down here. Here's all the work that you'll be doing in this class. You can see the numbers of assignments, the points it all totals, and the percent of the total. So obviously, you cannot pass this class if you do not do all the assignments. The most you could get would be 49%. So you have to do some of the work. Conversely, you can't pass the class if you only do assignments and nothing else. So keep that in mind. Now, the one thing you can do, if you look at this, you could do all the work except the assignments. That would be 49%. Then you'd only need a few of the assignments to pass if you want to do it that way. But I just hope you try to do everything. The glossary, you take a look at some of the language in C++ programming. You can see a lot of the different commands. Some of these things, some of you might be familiar with, some of you might not be, but I wouldn't get too caught up on this. Just know that the glossary is there and available for you whenever you need to refer to it. Teacher contact information, there it is for you. You can see all my contact information. Just use Kmail just for class issues. Don't send to my inside email. Don't send me emails about the classes. Kmail is the best thing to use for classes. A few other things down here: academic integrity, so some information on being a good student, doing exams properly, quizzes properly, all that stuff, so read through that. And then a few other links down here: course feedback, netiquette, so you might want to read netiquette, learn about how to work properly online, understanding copyright, etc. So some of these things do not pertain to this class, but they're good to know anyway, right? So we've gone through almost all of these things. Now I'm going to go back to the course home and look at week 7 or week 1. And of course, week 1 again, you had introduce yourself discussion, complete that, and the learning plan, complete that. Then you have the course overview information. So let's go look at the introduce yourself. So here's introduce yourself right here. In this discussion, what I've done, you see that Cody, a student, has already put a response in. So we get to know each other a little bit more. Here are 6 questions I want you to answer. So all you do to respond to those is you just hit respond right here. Then it opens up, and you can slide up a little bit, and you can read the questions, then type your responses in right here. Of course, subject line, you put your name in the subject line so we know who it's from. So then you put your answers down here, and I expect the answers to be using complete sentences, and I'll show you my sample just to see. So then once you do the discussion, then down below, post the response. I'll cancel out of that. Now I already made an entry down here, so you can see my entry, Mr. Harrison's introduction. So if I click on it, you can see down here how I answered the questions. I answered them in full sentences, didn't I? Even though I didn't put punctuation at the end of all of them, they are full questions. Like a number 1, rather than just saying Mr. Harrison, Grand Junction, I actually answered the question fully. So please make sure you answer appropriately and go in and respond to 2 or 3 classmates. So please do that. And keep the language and the topics appropriate for school, please. So that's the introduce yourself activity. My learning plan. Now my learning plan, this is worth 50 points, 5% of your grade. Probably take you 10 minutes to do this. So my learning plan, there are no real right or wrong answers, but you get graded on completeness. So in this, what you'll do, you'll highlight all these questions, right-click copy. Then I suggest that you paste them into the text area of the Dropbox. So you go to the Dropbox for my learning plan, as it says right here, copy and paste into the text area of the Dropbox. Then within that text area, most of them you delete the answers that are not your answers. So for instance, on number 1, if I was going to work as it is scheduled, then as I had this pasted in the Dropbox, I would highlight these 2 things, delete them. So then just as is scheduled would be my answer. Same down here. I would just delete these 2, and then 7 or more would be my answer to this. So you can see how that can be easily done in the Dropbox. Now on questions 4, 6, and 7, you have to fill those in yourself. Now number 4, some specific things. I mean, some items to make yourself more successful. Making a work schedule and sticking to it is one tool. Having your parents proofread your work before you submit it, that's another tool. Watching the lesson recordings a couple of times, that's another tool to help you do better. Exploring C++ programming on the internet might help you do better. Making sure you look at the grading rubrics before you submit your work might help you do better. Making sure your programs run before you submit them will help you do better. So those are some things that can help you do better. Down here, what are some of the things if you do not understand an assignment? Well, what could you do? Well, you could send Mr. Harrison a Kmail. That would be one way. You could also reread the assignment. You could go watch the Class Connect, the lesson recording. to see what I explain about the assignment. You can go through the lesson within the class to learn more about the assignment. You can ask a fellow student. You could come to the live Class Connect session. Lots of things you could do, right? So anyway, these 7 questions you'll highlight and right-click copy, paste into the appropriate Dropbox text area, then answer them, and then submit. Okay? So that's to introduce yourself and the learning plan. So if we go back to the course home, you'll see that I've gone over all this stuff up here. Now the Getting Started Write-Up we'll look at in a minute. But I've gone up through all this stuff, right? Okay, now the last thing, that's half of this week. The second part of the week, the Thursday work. You'll go do the course overview section of the course home area, and it's made up of 4 labs. So I'll slide down right here, and I'm in the course home area, right? And I go right here to course overview, click that. And here we are in the course overview. This has sets of slides that you'll go through. So you just hit the right-hand arrow, and you'll work through this. This tells you how to use the presentations within the course. It also tells you how to download the software you need for the class, how to set up your computer, all of those types of things. So you'll go through this course overview. As you see, this is in Lab 1, the start of the course. Go down here to Table of Contents. I could go into Lab 2, setting up the computer, files and folders, etc. Lab 3, set up the browser. So you'll work through this as part of the week 1 work right here. That's this stuff right here. And again, course overview is right there. Okay, so that about covers everything I needed to cover. The last thing to show you, though, is the Getting Started write-up, and let's see if we answered these questions. So on this write-up, what you'll do, you'll take all of these questions, then you right-click, copy, and I suggest paste into word processor document. Then when they're sitting in the word processor document, then you watch this recording like you are, and as I show you the answers, you pause the recording, and then go to the word processor, write your answers below each item. Then when you're finished with all the answers, check your spelling and grammar. Then you have all these done in the word processor. Then you highlight and you copy and paste the questions and the answers from the word processor. Then you put them in the appropriate Dropbox. Not an attached file. It's going to be just text in the Dropbox. So let's answer these. So number 1, how many points is my learning plan worth? Well, there's my learning plan link right there on the left. And I showed you that earlier. The exact subject line you would use in a Kmail to send me an email to clarify assignment 3. Well, if I look right here under communications, remember we talked in communications section, we talked about the best way to send a Kmail, the way that I expect it to be done. What time of the weekly live Class Connect sessions for this class? We went over that. There are a couple of different places in here to show that. How are lesson recordings helpful to you? Well, lesson recording is going to be helpful for a couple reasons. First of all, they introduce you to the content for the week. Second thing, the lesson recordings help you answer the Class Connect write-ups. Those are 2 ways lesson recordings are helpful. What do you do to prepare yourself for quizzes and exams? Well, I didn't cover that, but let's go down here. I'm going to go to Project 1. If you look at this, so here's the Quiz 1, but look what I have right above. I have Quiz 1 Preview. If you click on that, this is actually Quiz 1. So all you need to do is you go to the previews, find the answers to these questions, and then you go in and do the quiz. Now the reason I provide the quiz previews is because I do not let you retake quizzes or exams, because I give you the previews. So in this question right here, how can you prepare for the quizzes and exams? By finding the answers in the quiz and exam previews. Then go take the quizzes and exams. Where can you find the recordings each week? Well, each week's recordings will be posted. Right, so it says lesson recordings right where in the project section. Right at the top of the project section is where the recordings will be posted. How can you see the feedback given on an assignment? Go to the grade book. Feedback is right there. Click on the grade you received, and you can read what the teacher said about your grade. Where can you find the work to be done each week? Well, it's in the announcements, isn't it? Even though you click on Course Home to get to the home page, we're actually in the announcements, and this is where all the week's work is always posted in the announcements. Last two things. Where can you go in the course to get immediate help? Well, right over here, right? Click on, where is it? Click on immediate help right there. And finally, lowest number of points to make sure you pass the class. Well, the lowest percentage is 59.5. So how many points is that to pass? So that's it for you. I've gone over everything you need to get started. This is the Get Starting Recorded. I've gone through the Get Starting Write-Up and answered those questions. So I expect by the end of this week, you will have all of this Tuesday work done. Then you'll have all the Thursday work done. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for giving me 31 minutes of your time, and I look forward to your work coming in. Bye.